Get ready to uncover truths and reality of today's politics. Here's your host, Lori Mills.
Welcome to another edition of Uncover California. You guys, news just does not slow down. It's crazy. Now we've got Tampon Tim, which is trending #1 on X thanks to Dan Bongino and Cat Turd. You know, Kamala couldn't have picked a worse VP choice. This guy let Minnesota burn down. He put tampons in the boys' restrooms, and he voted for full-term abortion. Also, the Secret Service thing, I'm not letting that go. That is just a joke. What is going on with that? What a failed mission. I still have more questions than answers when it comes to that. But you know what? Today, we're going to go ahead and we're going to focus on local politics because where California goes, so goes the nation. And today I've got a friend that when I was running for office, we became friends. And now he's running for the state assembly. He's a retired LAPD sheriff. And
LA County Sheriff.
LA County Sheriff, sorry about that. But I want to welcome Patrick Gipson. Welcome to Uncover California.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. It is always a blessing and an honor to be here with you. So thank you so much for that.
Wow. So anyways, the first time around you ran for Congress, and this time you're taking on the state legislature, which you're going to be entering a den of vipers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You know, with the supermajority being what it is, pretty much pushing everything that they want. And the little guys are Republicans right now, and we are not getting heard. You know, we are not getting the support that we would need from our state legislature. It's not happening right now. So that's why I'm running. I was actually asked to run and, come off of my Congress run, which was a great idea. I'm glad I listened. I'm glad I made sure that I did that, because if I didn't do that, I don't know if we would have had the same traction. So the same traction that I'm getting now with the state race is amazing. So we are doing excellent. So it's
And in the
good.
Primary, how many votes were you apart?
521.
521 votes,
Less
you guys.
than 0.5%. That's 0.04%.
Now, this is Los Angeles, where you're running to. Los Angeles County.
Yeah, all of LA County.
Talk about this district and what has gone wrong with the homelessness, the crime, and why you want to run and who your opponent is.
Well, look at my district. It's all of Santa Clarita Valley. And they are in general, there's just a more conservative area. People there are cohesive. They get together. They do things. It reminds me a lot of Simi Valley, because I visited Simi Valley a lot, and I'm in Santa Clarita Valley. These residents here in those areas are just they're going to fight for their freedoms. They're going to fight for make sure that they have lower taxes, and that crime isn't inundating their cities, their towns, which it is. As you can see in the San Fernando Valley, LA City controlled, we have record number of crime rate going up.
And homelessness.
And even with the Supreme Court, with their decision that came out, we still haven't seen anything from Newsom. He said, oh yeah, we're going to do this, this, and this. And we still haven't seen them clean up anything yet. And it's not just cleaning up the streets, it's actually getting the people off the streets who are inundated with drugs, and there's no way they can come off of that on their own. So my thing is, I keep asking myself, where are they going to put them when they get them off the streets, since they're not allowed to be there because it's a health issue and it's a life issue. It literally is a life issue, because if you don't take them off the street, they will die.
Right.
And I had a cousin, I always say, who did pass away on the streets of Hollywood with a needle up her arm. She died of a fentanyl overdose.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So for me and thousands of other families out there, that is your family member passing away. That is your family member being degraded and living in the streets, doing anything and everything for drugs. So yes, we have a lot of stuff to do. And it's one of the things in my district is the soft on crime. The soft on crime is not working. So if you think that you can be softer on crime, we have Prop 36 coming out. So we all have to support that. That's the closest thing we have to fixing Prop 47, which was a nightmare. And then when that came out, I believe in 2014, no one really knew what it was because they thought it was a school safety thing.
Yeah, let's break that down because there could be people watching that have no clue what Prop 36 is. And a lot of them may have not tuned in when Leader Gallagher was on explaining what Prop 47 is. So break that down for the people.
Okay, well, Prop 47, basically, that was where they lowered or they put the amount of money that was for goods and services or goods. So if you stole something that was about $949, right, that's still it was going to be a misdemeanor. However, that was before Prop 47. If you stole something within like 2 or 3 times, then after any other time, it would be a felony.
Right.
Prop 47 turned that all into misdemeanors.
Right.
Every one of them. So you can steal $950 today. You can steal over $950 today and tomorrow. The next day, 20 minutes after you get out of jail, because they're going to give you a cite and release, and you can do it again. And these guys know this. When I worked in the jails, not jails, I was working transportations, we would go pick up inmates. They would all chant, Gascon, Gascon, my homie. And if you guys don't believe me, trust me, it's there. And they even have tattoos of George Gascon on their arms, legs, chest, because they know without a doubt that Gascon is their friend. And if he's criminal's friend, then what about us? Victims. Victims, we're taking it left and right. So businesses are getting broken into, and they're being, there's theft just every day, and it goes unreported because they know nothing's going to happen about it. And then you see people's homes getting broken into. They're starting to go, look, I lost this, that, whatever. Forget it. What's the point of reporting the crime when no one's going to do the time, right?
Yeah, or do anything about it.
There's no consequences at this point.
And it's interesting, too, the fact that George Gascon was the Soros DA. He was installed by George Soros. Prop 36, what would it do to turn this around?
Well, Prop 36 is it's not what it was prior to Prop 47. So basically, it's a little bit more of like, okay, look, you do this, this, and this, and then it's going to be a felony, right? So here's my problem with this. Okay, so if it's stated as a non-crime, a non-violent crime, Prop 57 comes into action. And they go, well, that's a non-violent crime. They go out. So what does it really change? Not much. So they will get a felony. They may do some time eventually, but they're not going to stay there because of Prop 57 is the one where they emptied out our prisons. And they did that with Prop 47 as well. So basically what they did with prisons, state prisons, was they moved everybody into the county jail systems. And they went, look, see, we saved money, right? And they actually didn't do that because it cost more money to go and transport them back and forth to state prison to LA County jails or county jails. And it's just a constant movement. And now more than ever, especially with LA County Sheriff's Department with their transportation, once they had a very, very robust system of getting inmates to and from jail and court, now it's a dismal, it's amazing that they're even surviving at this point. And there's no help, coming from the state to make sure that those people, inmates, are getting in there and able to get heard into a court, get their time, get their sentence, and serve what they need to serve. The consequences are not there. That's the biggest thing with Prop 47, and that's why 36 came out. If we can get 36, it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
However, I think what we really need to do is we need to look at things a little bit more different, especially with the fentanyl dealers, hard drug dealers, because they're not getting the time.
Right.
They're not getting the consequences where they're killing our family members.
Right.
And then on top of that, the other side of supermajority, they're worried about, housing. It's not housing. I can tell you for a fact. I've been out in the streets. I've been out patrol. I've asked homeless. I've asked criminals out there in the streets. Why is it that you're still in the streets? Why aren't you in one of these housing projects or housing that has been available to you that's cost about $600,000, $700,000? They won't go in them. And do you know why?
Why?
Because they cannot get their drugs there. And they cannot just live the way they want to live and have drugs and, destroy things, steal things, because they got to pay. They got to pay for their drugs, and their dealer's not going to give it to them for free,
right.
which makes a whole nother form of things. And then you have human trafficking now involved. It's one big mess, and we're living in it here in California. And then that's why someone like myself, who is running, who knows what's going on, my opponent does not know any of that stuff. She's not from here. She's not born here. She's born in California, but way up north. So she's a San Francisco implant, just like George Gascon, just like Gavin Newsom. She's one of those three.
And let's talk about that for 1 second. Gavin Newsom always touts the crime rates have gone down in California. It's because they're not prosecuting the crime anymore, and they've changed felonies to misdemeanors.
Well, they are up here in LA City on most part, but again, most of the crimes are going unreported.
Right.
And if they're not being reported, are we getting true numbers? We are not getting true numbers. So that's one of the things. And let me go back on what I was saying about my opponent.
Whose name is?
Her name is Chavo, so.
Chavo. No Chavo.
No Pilar.
Pilar.
Bad Pilar. So we don't want her in our neighborhoods. We don't want her in our district because she has no connection. And the reason why we really know she has no connection is her fundraising. So, yes, she raised about $650,000 this fundraising period, but $2,300 of it was from the district. I raised about $158,000 from the district. So she has no connection to the area she is running in and currently representing. So she's got to go.
And people need to understand this, because the same thing happened when I ran for the assembly. These Democrats get installed to an area, but the thing is they're funded by Planned Parenthood and left-wing organizations and lobbyists. Yeah. Where people like me and people like you are actually supported by the people.
Right.
And you guys, the state assembly is our Congress here in California. Everything that has gone wrong in this state is because of the assembly and state senate pushing bills through without debate straight to the governor's desk for signature. They don't have any pushback.
Right.
What changes would you like to make?
Oh, well... There's a variety of them.
Well, give me one or two.
One of the things I really want to work on is our public safety.
Right.
Our public safety is being ignored, largely ignored. Our law enforcement officers are working back-to-back doubles. They are working and they are tired. And literally no one's coming in to work these positions. No one's signing up. So LA County and LA City, LAPD, they need incentives. We need to get better people coming in who want these jobs, but we have to what? You have to pay for what, you're going to be getting.
Well, you also need a district attorney that's going to prosecute crime. It's got to be so frustrating for these officers.
Completely. So we have Nathan Hochman in there right now, who's going in. He's not in there, but we need to support him because he's the next best thing that we have.
Right.
And if, a man has integrity, he's doing it. I've seen him talk. I spoke with him myself. He may not be exactly what we would, envision for someone like that, but his policies are nonpartisan. And nonpartisan means he's not going to the other side, or the other side, he's going to take care of the crime. Whatever
we just need
California
someone to prosecute.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Equal justice under the law, which we haven't had here for a very long time.
Oh, and we're not going to get it until we take these positions over. And with my race, with 0.04%, that's it. That's all we have. All we have to do is take 0.5% here, 0.5% here. And Santa Clarita Valley, that whole valley, we took it. We won. And we're focusing on, obviously, San Fernando Valley is where she won. So it's like two different two different sides of the coin. Obviously, there's, conservative up north, and then you got the southern region areas, which is a lot more liberal, which I think is changing.
Northridge.
Correct.
Okay, and people in Chatsworth and Northridge, do yourself a favor. Drive over the hill into Simi Valley, which is a red city, and look at the difference. It's a 5-minute drive.
Yeah.
And you cross over that hill, and it's clean, and you cross over into Chatsworth, and you've got homeless people everywhere.
They're there, especially now that, we have crime still there, crime going up. It's going to keep going up until they actually go, wait a second. I'm, they could be a liberal. Person could be a liberal all day long, and their houses are getting broken into.
Right.
Their cars are getting, their windows are getting smashed.
And
whatever.
yet they vote the same.
And they're still voting the same. It will not change. So if you really want to look at how things are, don't vote the same insanity. I need your help to change it. I'm not doing anything other than public safety. I want to make sure there's more money in your wallet at the end of the day, and that parents have a right and say over what their children, do in school.
Right.
That's it. So everything else is all voted by the California voters. So I'll leave that up to them. But my job is to go in with, especially my expertise in law enforcement. I could do much, much better than what's in there now.
Right.
And I'm telling you right now, she's completely, her special interest, 37% of her money that she brought in was 37% special interest. Democratic Party was 25%. Labor unions, 23%. Politicians' gifts, 15%. In district region, 0.004%. So she is not supported by our community. It's everybody outside and nobody in.
And the people need to understand, though, you do need their help financially.
Oh, yeah.
It is so expensive to run a race. And I would really hope that people, and again, under, the Kamala crash and Bidenomics, money's tight right now.
It is,
and
very
people
tight.
are, people are feeling it.
Yeah.
But where can people donate to you? And again, you guys, if you don't vote for him and you don't donate to him, you're going to end up paying more in taxes and everything else anyway.
Yeah. You're going to have double property taxes.
Exactly.
You'll see the biggest exodus out of California that you've ever seen in your life.
Well, we're already seeing it. So many dear friends have left to Tennessee and other. But
and they are.
People need to understand, though, where California is, so goes the nation. This is going to follow them.
They say that, but I think that's why we're here fighting.
Right.
So I do have a fundraiser on the 17th.
Okay.
So that will be on the 17th of August. It's in Santa Clarita. It's a comedy night, and it's also my birthday party. So if you want to come and celebrate my birthday that day, I will be getting roasted by the former mayor of Santa Clarita, Jason Gibbs. So that should be fun. He's very witty, I would say.
Oh, fun.
But if you guys are, want to come support me, it's my birthday. Come and give a donation. Enjoy the night, have some fun, have some laughter, some food, and support somebody who cares about the place he lives in and who he wants to represent, other than the person who's doing whatever it takes to say, oh, I support law enforcement now, after she called for defunding the police, and then she's a defund the police activist.
Well, there seems to be so many of these people, running. Kamala just put in this Walls guy who let Minneapolis burn down.
Yeah, well,
he let it burn down.
Is that what you want for your city?
Yeah, he put tampons in boys. Yeah,
not really.
And Gavin Newsom just signed into law Assembly Bill 1955, where you, as the parent, no longer have rights over your child changing their gender. I think it would be something that you as a parent would want to know.
It's communication. If you're taking one aspect of communication out of the equation, then things fall apart. Yeah. And then we're going to have issues. And then I'll tell you right now, they're going to sue California, because parents are going to go, well, you never told me, and this happened, and something happened to my kid. And they maybe died, got injured, passed away, right? And who's going to be responsible for that? That's going to be the governor.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Let's hope so, because they seem to be immune from punishment. And they lie. They blatantly lie to the people. You think you're voting on homes for puppies, and you're voting to let prisoners out of jail. Yes is no, and no is yes. And then they lie about what they're putting forward.
Well, they have to do that because they know that if they don't word it in a certain way, they're going to lose. So if they were, if they had any semblance of respect or honor, they just do it straight up. Hey, do it straight up. Let's see what you got. And if you can put it in that this is this and this is that, and let people decide. Governor Newsom, stay out of it. state majority, stay out of it. Let the people decide.
Well, and they took that decision from us this cycle.
Yes, a few times already.
Yeah, there was a ballot measure that was supposed to go on to the ballot that was going to make what you're voting for transparent, and they eliminated it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be there anymore, so they can continue to lie to you.
Well, we don't know what we're doing, according to Newsom.
Well, they're communists.
We have no idea what to do or how to do these things. He's sadly mistaken. He's a governor who has been, looking for some semblance of running for president or whatever he was trying to do. And at the same time, California has been one of the most dismal places to live. And if you're surviving here right now, and you're a college student, you're a first-time family, and you're trying to survive here with the insane amount of taxes, your gas prices going up, property taxes about to be doubled, groceries, everything has gone up. You need 4 or 5 jobs just to survive here in this state. Yeah. That's not living. That seems more like indentured servitude. Yeah. And we cannot live that way. So we will continue to see people leave California in droves. And this is it's a fast trickle now, but if it continues, we will see a landslide of people leaving California faster than ever. And if we continue to have this way of thought, then so goes your street, there goes your police departments, because you can't fund them anymore, and they're gone. You're going to have fire department come and save your house? No, you're not, because all of those services are going to be just cut to the very bone. And when they're cut to that, and you think that, oh, well, they're going to come help me, they're not.
Well, what's sad is the people that they are helping are those that are here under sanctuary state laws.
Yeah, we're paying for them too.
Yeah. So we're paying for housing for BlackRock homes to illegal immigrants where, for instance, my daughter, single mother, is paying almost $3,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment. Yeah. This is unsustainable.
It is very unsustainable. And things continue to go the way they are, especially with our crash, our 1,000-point crash from the Dow. Was that yesterday?
Yeah, and we're getting a soft bounce, but I think it's going to plummet again tomorrow.
There's no telling me that it's going to get better when I've seen it get worse.
Right.
So that's why we're making a difference here. Me, you, and we're doing these things where, like, are you crazy? Are you going into politics? Really? You're doing this? Yeah, I'm not crazy, but I think that I have that fighting spirit, and I want to make sure that my kids don't have this same nightmare, or worse, probably even worse than what we're seeing now. So when they get to my stage in life and they're going to go, how do we do this? How do we survive? They are probably going to be at least, another 5, maybe less, 5 years or less, where it's going to be like, we need to make that decision. Do we, abandon California because we cannot survive here anymore? It's too expensive.
Well, and the sad thing is people used to come here. Songs were written, California Dreamin'. This was the place
California
where
nightmare, actually.
Well, now, but people came here to live the California dream. We did have beautiful beaches before they became polluted with sewage and homeless people.
E. coli and all that stuff.
Yeah, and E. coli and everything else, because they didn't build water storage, Prop 1 in 2014. So now all that sewage goes straight into the ocean.
Right.
We've got the only place in the world where you can be at the beach 1 in the morning and you could drive 2 hours and be in the mountains.
Of course.
You can be in the desert.
Best state in the 50 states.
The climate is amazing. And at the same time, the leadership sucks. Yeah. It sucks. And then you have them lie to the people, and people thinking we're losing our democracy. Well, you know what? Democracy doesn't give you rights. A constitutional republic does. And I don't want to be ruled
for the
by
people,
mob
by
rule.
the people.
Right. And that's not happening. And when they say democracy, they're talking like Stalin did.
Yeah.
And it's proven daily. What is another issue that you really want to focus on to make the lives better in your district?
Well, I want to make it where people can actually survive here.
Right.
And so that means if it's like you think taxes have to go down, well, we need a break from that stuff. So we need to make sure.
Well, the regulations are a tax on the people.
It's insane because with our energy companies, Chevron and all the other people out there, they're leaving. And why would they stay here and be abused any further? Because California's going, well, you guys we're going to tax you more. And
right.
If they tax them more, then the prices go up.
Right.
And when the prices go up, then you have inflation. Then it goes your food costs. It's a what is that called? Effect.
Trickle.
The trickle, whatever it
just
is.
snowballs.
Cause and effect.
Right.
So when something causes this, it will affect this. And it continually does that because how are we going to make a living? There's insurance companies here that you got people selling the insurance, from State Farm and stuff. They have to cancel their own policy because
the
State
insurance
Farm's
companies are leaving.
Yes, they're leaving.
Nationwide is gone.
Yeah.
State Farm is not taking new homeowners policies.
Nope.
They are leaving the state.
Yeah.
We're not going to have insurance. We're not going to have anything. All because of woke policies, woke commercials, and corporate paid BS to these Democrats that are the biggest liars in the world. Okay.
So we need to fix 3 things, right? And, to make it a little more livable here in California. We need to get the drugs off the street. We need facilities, mental health facilities. We need drug rehab centers, a lot of them. And we do not need the housing that is special interest is getting paid. We don't need to continually count homeless and have people do this as their job. And they're top heavy administrative and they're getting paid a lot by the state.
Yeah, the bureaucrats are making all the money.
They're making the money.
Off our tax dollars.
Off our tax dollars. And they're not getting anything done. Why? Because why would you change something when you're continually getting paid from it?
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense. If you solve the issue, oh my God, there goes my money. There goes this. And that for me is greed. That for me is selfishness. And you're taking from the people and you're taking their lives because you want to get paid. You want to go on that European vacation, 12 times a year.
And you're not going to go on that European vacation because you're going to be trying to buy Twinkies for your kids.
Yeah.
But anyways, our 30 minutes went super fast.
It did.
Patrick, let everybody know where they can donate to your campaign, where they can find out about your fundraisers, your website.
Website, GipsonForAssembly.com. GIP.
There we go.
P as in Paul, GIP, P as in Paul, SON, the number 4, assembly.com. You can find me on Instagram, Gipson for Assembly. Facebook is also Gipson for Assembly. You can find me on X, of course. That's Gipson for Assembly. Just look it on there. I have a TikTok as well now, so I put
be
that
careful
on there.
that one.
It's not a problem. Any way we can get the message out, we'll do that. And then I'm also on YouTube as well. So look for me on Gipson for Assembly there as well.
Okay, so a call to action by me. You guys, these state assembly races are the most important races that you can be donating to right now. President Trump, we love him. We give to him. He's got money. But if we're going to take the state back, you have got to donate. So I'm going to ask a minimum donation for Patrick of $50 to anybody that watches the show.
Yes.
If you guys want to get rid of Woketopia and get our state back, this is the only way to do it. Do you have any final words?
Well, I just wanted to let everyone know that keep fighting. This is not a losing race. This is something where we come behind and we kick some butt, and that's thank you, Lord God.
500 votes, you guys.
Yes.
And if you guys want to walk for him, make calls for him,
come.
Just sign up on his website.
Yep.
One more time.
GipsonForAssembly.com. Gipson, the number 4 assembly.com with a P. Get a hold of me. I want to talk to you. I want your help. I need your help. And it's not just me. It's all the other assembly members that are running as well that are going to want to change something. We
need 9 seats to get balance back.
I think we can do it.
We can do it.
Yes.
With your help. Okay, guys, nobody sits out this election. Thank you so much for coming in, Patrick. I love you to death, and I love your wife and your family.
Oh,
amazing family. Everybody stay tuned. After our break, former state senator Mike Morrell will be joining us. Raise a glass to our new sponsor, Republican Red Wine. It's the perfect choice for patriotism, and it's really good to drink. With bottles like Drain the Swamp, 45-47, you'll be the biggest hit at your next Republican party. You know what? It also makes a great conversation piece at the dinner table. To receive 15% off, use promo code CALI, CALI, when you go to Republican Red Wine to purchase your new wine bottles.
Welcome to the MAGA Mall. We have the largest selection of the finest quality MAGA caps and Trump caps that are made. We have over 250 hats and 1,000 different products in 28 product categories. All the caps are made from premium cotton twill. Everything on them is embroidered. As a matter of fact, in the last election cycle, we donated over 45,000 caps to Trump-endorsed candidates and conservative causes all the way across America. And you can buy any of our products by going to our website. It's at themagamall.com, like on the sign over here, and use promo code CALI, and that's for Uncover California. That will get you a 10% discount off of all of our products and also help this worthy cause. And remember, it's always a MAGA day at the MAGA Mall.
Welcome back to Uncover California. I am super excited. Our next guest on today's show is former state senator Mike Morrell. Mike worked in the swamp of California politics for a very long time, and he's still in the fight. So everybody give a warm welcome. Mike Morrell, welcome to Uncover California.
Lori, thank you very much. I'm grateful to have the honor of being here. Thanks.
I'm so glad you're here. You know, I got to know you a little bit at the last convention, and I also got to know you when you did come down to visit us at the Ventura County Republican Party. You've always been in the fight. What was it like for you as a Republican working up in Sacramento with the Democrats? And was the supermajority this bad?
Well, let me answer that a couple ways. You know, on our side, people want term limits.
Right.
And so California has had term limits for about 20 years. And we, the people, keep electing worse people. So subsequently, it's gotten worse even since I've left there, I've noticed, you know. And so I just want to go back to the Constitution to remind our listeners, it's not the politicians, it's we the people. That's first time ever, right? A government by and for the people. So being a republic is a lifetime battle and a fight. And so there's not any easy solutions like term limits, I want to point out, since you mentioned about California, because I see it getting progressively worse in California. But when I was there, there was a couple of things that I've learned. You can still be the loyal opposition like Churchill did when he was removed from Parliament because he had read Hitler's book Mein Kampf. So he knew Hitler was going to try to take all of Western Europe. And the people of Great Britain had come out of World War I. They didn't want any more destruction and war or death. And so they elected Chamberlain, who made a lot of peace treaties with Britain. But Churchill went on the speaking circuit to the 47 million people of Great Britain at the time and warned them, even though he was not in power. And then when Chamberlain signed too many peace treaties with Hitler and Hitler reneged on him, invading Czechoslovakia, guess who the people of Great Britain drafted back in the service was Sir Winston Churchill. And so what I learned is so far as getting things done inside that capital was tough. That's the first thing. But the thing is we have a voice, not only me, but you. And I'm hopeful because just in the short time, the last few years since I've been out of the Senate, there's been more conservative programs who are doing podcasts than, I mean, there were no podcasts 10 years ago, right? Or they were few and far between. So there's a lot of things happening. And the majority of those podcasts are conservative, they're constitutional, or they're issues on faith, which is good. So that gives me hope for California as well as for America. Like your podcast is doing well, has a great audience, and you're reaching a lot of people. And so
I'm just blessed to get great guests.
Well, yeah. So what I did, thank you. I went up and down the state speaking to whoever I could, making the case, and we got a lot of things done that way. Also, I did some bills which were incredible. One was Senate Bill 674, which said when it comes to the sexual curriculum, all this stuff should be available, be made available online for the parents to be able to view it, give them full disclosure of what they're being taught, and then they should have the right to opt their kids in or say no way. And so the Democrats, I really believe, they came to me and said in the education committee they were going to pass that bill, but I knew they'd do that because their games is they can say we passed the bill, then it goes to appropriations, and appropriations kill it because they say we don't have enough money. So my goal was actually get that bill turned down and to try to start a tidal wave. And it did. We had over 100,000 people calling. There was one article written that said as many people called, wrote emails, and came up to the Capitol represented probably over 10 million citizens. So it really defined who the Democrats were. So that was a lot of fun because I got press in over 200 newspapers across the country on that bill. And so and again, that's kind of taken a page from the playbook of Winston Churchill, trying to do things when you're not in power, right? And since we were a super minority, there was things like that we had to do. So there are things you can do in there. But what discouraged me the most, Lori, is when you show up and you've got floor sessions on Mondays and Thursdays, and then you have committees on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and you have to sit there and listen to the guys across the aisle, Democrats, have these bills on the economic bills, political bills, bills on morality, on faith, all of them. It seems like they want to destroy our country. So sitting there having to listen to that 4 days a week was very painful to me. It was very hard to have a steady diet of that. And I remember my last year in the Senate, I remember thinking, God, can I take this anymore? Having to come in here and listen to these guys. But I got my second win back and finished the year strong. But it was tough listening to that day after day. That's why we need good people to take back our state.
Well, and I wish you were back in there because I'm sure you are aware that Gavin Newsom just signed 1955 into law. And that takes parental rights away that teachers don't have to tell parents if their kids are being transitioned now, which is just insanity to me. And they lie about it all the time. I think that's my biggest frustration with the Democrats is they don't tell the truth about what's actually happening. They make their bills seem like you are just exploding rainbows when in reality there's a hurricane coming and they want you to suffer through it. So you're out of there now. Look at our national politics. What do you think about Kamala's new pick, Mr. Tampon Tim, I guess it is? Who likes tampons in the children's men's bathrooms and schools, that let Minnesota burn down. I mean, they're not hiding from their communist positions anymore. And just one more thing, because my brain jumped. You were talking about Churchill. Boy, would he roll on his grave to see what's happening in the UK right now. Your take?
Yeah, absolutely. Just as Lincoln and Ronald Reagan are rolling over in their graves about what's Lincoln about nationally, and again, Reagan being the former governor of California is rolling in his grave about California, how far we've descended.
Fallen.
But the political pundits thought Kamala was going to pick Shapiro, since Pennsylvania is a big swing state, right? And he's a little bit more moderate, not conservative, but moderate, so that he can put the best foot forward. And so that is who the political pundits thought she would take to try to smooth her out a little bit.
But that large Hamas section of her base would reject him. I think that was her fear.
Probably, but then I thought that she would pick somebody a little bit more moderate to even her out. But she doubled down on her Marxist immoral ideology and picked someone that's on an even plane as her, if not worse. And
right.
This stuff about what you mentioned, there's a lot of things that offend me, but one of the things, if you look at this, whether history or you look at it from a faith perspective, immorality is the worst thing for a nation. It'll take us down. And anybody who picks on kids, I mean, how perverted is it when you have grown men, which, by the way, Kamala Harris supports, who dress up, they call elementary schools first and second graders, and they ask the schools if they can come and dance provocatively, right? And sensually in front of their first and second graders. That's a state of depravity, right? The lowest form of human beings to do that to kids. And then you have school districts that are saying yes to this.
Right.
So those are bad things. Kamala supports all those things. That's wrong. It's immoral. And God forbid if she becomes president. And unfortunately, I am concerned about her because a lot of people like, that she is a woman, which is good. But also, she seems to, when she talks, she has a smile and a friendly voice and talks about bringing people together. And unfortunately, there are people, there's three types of people, and I just made this up right now, by the way, since you asked me. But, there's people like me. Tocqueville talked about these people, about Americans. In Democracy in America, they just give me the facts, right? How much is it going to cost me? And just tell me. Where he talked about, the country that he had came from, France, a lot of people there went on emotions, right? And so we have this in this country today. We have people that, that they want nice sounding people, and then you've got people like me, just give me the facts, what's it going to cost me? And you got people somewhere in the middle, which I think is great, where they're half and half, right? But Kamala,
or they're just completely uninformed.
There you go. That's another key. And Kamala, it has that she seems nice, right? And she doesn't come out of the closet and say all the things that she really believes. But then you've got the news media. It's a full court press. The news media is painting her as, the savior, right? And I was just now reading the Wall Street Journal, and even they kind of said, hey, Trump needs to be clear on his debate and debate her. He can't run from this. And I'm thinking, he's not going to run for this debate. He's just trying to make sure he doesn't get, screwed over by the liberal channels. And so, the press, everyone, they, again, the people who control the press, they a full court press to get Kamala in there. And so, man, they make her sound like a champ. And of course, Donald Trump, they're making sound as a person who, has his finger on nuclear bombs and he's crazy and all that sort of foolishness, right? And so I think she's very dangerous. I really do. More dangerous than Biden.
Well, we look at San Francisco. Oakland was her community when she was DA here.
Yeah.
The money, her letting Willie Brown's friends off the hook while prosecuting minor drug offenders, and each actually prosecuting the guys that were whistleblower journalists that found out that Planned Parenthood was selling baby body parts. That's who Kamala is. Kamala, the border czar, lost 85,000 migrant children. They have let terrorists in our country, over 100 now, unaccounted for. We're going to get hit from within, and it's her fault. She was horrible on East Palestine. She was horrible on the fires in Maui. She has not been there for the American people. She has strictly been there for the woke ideology. She's a communist. Now, Mike Morrell, being a constitutionalist, please explain to the people what the difference is between a democracy and a constitutional republic, because there's a big difference. And when I hear these Democrats say democracy, I don't want to hear about the democracy. That's not what we are. We are not mob rule, and that's what they want to turn us into, just like Lenin did, just like frickin' Mao did. What they have pictured for this country is us being a bunch of serfs, and they're the elite rulers. So please, sir, take the floor.
Yeah, you know what? That's such a great question. Thank you. Yeah, we got to save our democracy, is what they like to say. So I'll just kind of get, again, a great question. Abraham Lincoln, we're going to start with him. A democracy means the will of the people. So we are a democracy here, but the bigger picture is we're under a republic. So whereas a democracy is the will of the people, a republic protects the minority's interests equally as the majority. So let's just use Nazi Germany. Let's just say, we'll use them as an example. America decides, they're going to get rid of, like the Nazis did, right? And if the will of the people would have voted for that, that would be really bad for the Jewish people, right? But again, a republic is bigger than democracy. It protects the minority equally as the majority. So the big argument is Abraham Lincoln. The debates between Abraham Lincoln and Stephen Douglas. Stephen Douglas ordered, I listened to those debates, and what I mean by listen is Richard Dreyfuss plays Stephen Douglas, and Daniel Day-Lewis plays is the voice of Lincoln. So the debates are incredible. Stephen Douglas makes a phenomenal case about the 10th Amendment, states' rights, in the will of the people, sort of like democracy. And when he makes those debates, and I'm listening to him, Richard Dreyfuss posing as Stephen Douglas, I'm thinking, oh man, how's Lincoln going to get over these arguments? Well, Lincoln reminds us that we are not a democracy, we're a republic. So we have to protect the minority's interests equally as the majority and protect the slaves. And we do need to defer to the 10th Amendment in most cases, states' rights, because there's issues on that right now, right? But here's the thing that Lincoln mentions. In the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence, talks about we hold these truths to be self-evident. How do you find self-evident truth? You go back to the first paragraph, according to the laws of nature, nature's God. That's the natural law, meaning God puts into history and human nature the moral law, right? And the divine law, I should say. And so we always defer to that first paragraph of Declaration of Independence before we would even the Constitution, because Lincoln said the Constitution would be like a silver frame or a gold frame that protects the Constitution. The Declaration of Independence would be, the analogy he uses would be a golden apple. So the golden apple is the foundation of the Constitution. So again, one more thing Lincoln said on the slavery issue. He reminds a friend of his in Congress that have nothing to do with popular sovereignty. Like in the day's vocabulary, that would mean, don't worry about the polls. We always do what's right. And then Lincoln said, right makes might. And so he went on to win the Republican nomination after 3 rounds of votes and ended slavery. And again, the argument was we have to protect the minority's interests equally as the majority. And these people are human beings, the slaves. So if we would have listened to the 10th Amendment or the argument on a democracy, slavery would have never ended. And we don't want to get caught in that trap either as Republicans or as citizens of our country. We always have to do what's right according to the divine law, as stated in the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. So that's a little difference. But again, they like to use that word democracy. And even when they use that word democracy, think about that. Or we're going to lose our democracy if Trump gets elected. If you remember, Trump, didn't he get like 76 or 78 million votes last election? I mean, that's a lot of Americans who their will is to have President Trump, right? Even though Biden beat him by just a little bit. And again, many believe that, because of no
I don't believe in our nation's history, nobody has won the presidency without winning the bellwether counties. I think that there was fraud, death by 1,000 cuts. And when they talk about democracy and we sit here and we watch people being thrown in jail without due process, we've seen nonviolent J6ers basically locked up. One guy that I talked to, he was in jail for 11 months before he even got a trial, and he never went inside. And we've got the Democrat Party coming after their political opponents. That is communism. That is not, and that's why I say when they say democracy, they're not meaning it the way that is for the
Absolutely.
people. They're meaning it. You do it our way or we're going to destroy you. And
Yeah.
unless we fight back against this, and it's one of the reasons I walked away from my business, ran for office, and all I do is this vodcast now and do appearances and speaking engagements, is because my pastor told me, what are you willing to give up for this country? Well, you know what? I am not going to leave this country in shambles and my grandson in a place where he's less free than I was because of this Democrat Party that has gone completely communist. It just enrages me. So,
Well,
your thoughts,
they
Mike?
they like to use that democracy argument, which is crazy because, again, Trump got so many tens of millions of votes. A lot of people wanted
And Biden
him.
only won one Bellwether County over 18 of them, which Trump won. That's never happened in history, ever.
Yeah.
I don't trust our votes. My son's vote never showed up when I ran for office, and he's a Marine. So if his vote didn't show up, there's so many other, and we're the only ones that want voter ID. We're the only ones that want, same day voting. We're the only ones that don't want to take 3 months to count the vote. And the Democrats now want illegal aliens to vote, as just passed in Arizona. We're in a very dangerous cycle here, Mike.
That's why if we get that, we're going to lose. We will lose our democracy / republic. But one thing I want to come back to on these people when they talk about democracy, remember, they are the elites, and the elites always think they're wiser than the people. And the thing that I am glad about, it seems like citizens are waking up. Going back to the school boards, think about this movement throughout the United States. Parents of all races, all shapes, all sizes, all colors are returning to the school boards because they don't want their kids to be indoctrinated, right, by social things, right? Like drag queen hours. They want their kids to simply learn. This is a huge movement in California, and it's spreading across the United States. And again, that's not a Republican-led thing. That's a we the people movement. So
at the same time, you've got the Democrats passing laws here in California taking parental rights away. Wake up, people.
I hope it's going to backfire. I really do. I mean, sometimes your thinking can become so dark you can overshoot your mark, and I think that's what they're doing. Because when you see that many parents showing up to school boards here in California, and then they go and do that, that's one thing Americans, for the most part, don't like to be told what to do, or they're forced to do things. So I'm hoping this is a movement that's beginning in California. That's why I am running for the California GOP chair, is because what I'm seeing, Lori, is I'm seeing people get engaged more than I've ever seen in my entire life. And the reason I'm involved is the same reason you are. When I was a young man, I wanted to have purpose in my life. And so I thought that through, God, what's your will for my life, And it finally came down to the wisdom of Solomon, that the duty of a father is to leave inheritance to their children's children, which goes beyond the financial aspect, but politically, morally, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, property rights, all those things. And so that's where my life sort of took me. I opened a couple businesses and did that. And then whenever I had a free time, I would be involved in the political process. And I had a lot of chances to speak in churches and try to get these user-friendly, seeker-sensitive pastors to quit being silent and scared of these, tough issues, and get them more involved. And then
the church needs to wake up.
Yeah. Oh,
the church needs to get. I just screened the movie Letter to the American Church, and I'm happy to say there were some priests that showed up and some clergy that showed up, but the church needs to wake up. This is our battle.
Yeah. Alexis de Tocqueville, in his book Democracy in America, that 700-page classic, he was sent by his government of France to discover the genius and success of America. And I love it. He gives a bunch of things that he says, as I sought for America's genius and success, it wasn't in her vast world commerce. I didn't find it there, or her agriculture, or her rich mines, or her deep water seaports, or her waterways. He names all these people, all these things. And he said, that's not their reason for their success. He said, I finally saw their success when I walked into the churches and saw the pulpits were aflame with righteousness. But then another quote that's attributed to him, he said, but if the pulpits are no longer aflame with righteousness, could it be that the people will no longer know the truth? And you do have, a lot of that going throughout churches where, again, I call them user-friendly, seeker-sensitive, culturally relevant pastors who tickle the ears of men. And rather than talking about, the tough issues. And one other thing, sorry for hogging the conversation, but I'm enjoying talking with you, Lori.
No, I love God. My thing is if the church doesn't wake up, look at Europe right now. They've got these beautiful buildings and they're dead inside. And they've been invaded by, immigration that has been out of control. Now they've got people running around their streets with machetes while their leadership protects these immigrants and are throwing people that are native to Britain into jail for speaking up. I don't want that for America. It's cultural Marxism. And it's the same thing Hitler did. It's the same thing Mao did. It's the same thing Stalin did. And unless this church wakes up by the Holy Spirit of God and the blinders and the spiritual delusion falls off people, we're in big trouble.
Well, yeah. And one thing, going back by history, the greats in history, we talked about Churchill, we talked about Lincoln and others. Your great political and religious leaders, the great ones, the statesman versus the ordinary politician. What distinguishes them is they always took on the most difficult issues of the day. People didn't want to take on slavery, right? Lincoln did. Same thing with Churchill. The British people called Chamberlain in, as I mentioned earlier, because they didn't want to pick a fight with Germany, right? And so again, and Ronald Reagan, by the way, one of the most successful evangelists, maybe in all of history or modern history. Remember, he started in 1964 referring to the Soviet Union as an evil empire. He makes a spiritual argument on that, where Nixon and Kissinger believed it was an economic issue. And when you look at Reagan's life, when he became president, 3 times he wanted to call the Soviets the evil empire, but the State Department struck it from his speech. Finally, at a conference of evangelicals, he finally referred to him as the evil empire. And I went back and looked at different magazines who just blasted him for that, saying he was crazy. He's got his hand on the nuclear bombs. He's going to destroy our country. And anyway, finally, as you know, he went to the Soviet, Gorbachev, and on national TV, he said, you guys need to be free so you can experience the joys of knowing God. And then finally, he told Secretary Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And that wall came down, by the way, in the Soviet bloc, setting, I don't know, maybe 400 million people free in Romania, Russia, Latvia, Hungary, Poland, all those countries were set free so they could experience the joys of knowing God. And so anyway, my other point is, and they say people of faith, Christians shouldn't be involved with politics. Ronald Reagan did a lot, and he knew exactly what he was doing, But again, he took on the tough issues when everybody was telling him, leave that alone.
Well, Mike, I can't believe it, but we're like out of time. The boys are waving at me. Before we go, give us a minute on why you're running for the California Republican Party chair position, and let people know where they can find you.
Yeah. Okay. A couple of things. I'm running because I've been drafted. A lady named Dran Reese spoke at the convention, Republican convention, back in September, and I was there, and she's speaking, and then in front of everybody, when she's done, she said, "I'd like to introduce you to the next chairman of the California Republican Party, Senator Mike Morrell." And I was like, it wasn't even on my radar, and so that kind of spread throughout the convention. So a lot of people have been very kind and generous with their support, asked me to run. They think maybe I can bring some common sense and build upon what we have been doing right in the party. And so again, it's going to be a tough race, and the delegates can vote, which is about 1,450 of them. And so I've got to secure those. But I've also got, kind of people who are entrenched. There's a few rhinos in the party, as you know, so I don't have their support, but I have a lot of grassroots support. So that's why I'm running. And if the good Lord gets me in there, hopefully he'll give me the wisdom to make a difference in the state, because as California goes, so goes the nation. And again,
Amen.
I'm coming back to this. Joni and I can go and retire and do whatever, but I feel a duty to be a good example to my kids and my grandkids, and they see their father and their grandfather still out there fighting. So hold on, I'm looking up my email here.
Okay, and then are you on social media? At all?
I am. Yeah. Hold on. I'm sorry. Senator SEN, Mike Morrell.
Senator Mike Morrell.
Morrell, and then my website will pop up, and then my email is at AOL.com. SEN, as in Senator Mike Morrell, Morrell, at AOL.com. And then if you just type in Senator Mike Morrell, my website will pop up if people want to look at that. So thank you, Lori, so much.
And then what about social media? Are you on social media at all? Instagram, Facebook, X?
Yeah, you'll find my stuff on Facebook from time to time as we disseminate information, as well as on Instagram too. So
okay. All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. We'll have you back in the future.
Thank you, Lori. Great interviewer. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. So everybody, tune in next week, as we're going to have a couple guests. We're waiting for confirmation, but Peter Schweitzer may be coming in to go through the money that Kamala Harris, follow the money, they say. So Peter Schweitzer may be on. And then also we are going to have Eric Christie, who I spoke of earlier, who was in prison for 11 months for never going in the Capitol. We're not letting go of January 6th. So tune in next week. Follow me on X at Lori Mills, the number 4 CA42. And also go to uncovercali.com right now. Tickets to our movie screening for The War on Truth are selling quickly. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye. Hey guys, if you missed the movie Letter to the American Church on August 1st, it's not too late. On August 22nd, we're going to premiere at the Roxy Theater in Camarillo at 7 o'clock, The War on Truth. There will be a question and answer session with the producers. And also, could be a few J6ers in the room to share their stories with you. It's a film opportunity you're not going to get anywhere else. It's the only time you're going to be able to see it on the big screen. Go to uncovercali.com for tickets.